let's get down to business. Let's talk about some Ant-Man. Los, what is your off the top thoughts on Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania?
Um, it was weirder than I thought. It was watchable, um, but it wasn't all that great.
Okay.
I mean, it
Okay.
wasn't bad. It's like a 7 out of 10. You know,
Wow, I'm surprised you gave it that high of a score. 7 out of 10.
it was well, mostly because of the setup,
Okay.
because of
Okay.
the final end credit scene.
Okay. Which, by the way, I wasn't that big of a fan of the final credit scene, but we'll talk about that in a minute.
Okay, but yeah, it was interesting.
Okay. Okay. For me, I gotta be honest, just off the rip, I'm not gonna waste time. I didn't like it. Honestly, I didn't like it at all. I felt like Kang carried this film. If it wasn't for him, this film would not be watchable for me. There was a lot of cringy moments when it came to the characters trying to be funny and just I don't know, just certain things just didn't hit for me. Like you can tell that they were trying to make certain things hit, certain jokes hit, and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, no, that didn't work for me. Like I was really bored in this film.
Okay, non-spoil. Remember, because our first part of our review is always non-spoilery, so we're going
Yeah.
to our non-spoilery part.
Yes.
It did start out slow. It absolutely started out slow.
Yeah.
But the song they picked when what's his name? Um,
Scott Lang.
yes, when he's walking through the town, I
Oh,
loved it.
yeah. That was
I
actually a
loved it.
nod. That was a nod to the previous film when they started off with I forgot what song they started off with in that film, but it seems like they're trying this trend where they start the
Yeah,
film
no,
off
no,
with a
no.
certain song.
That song, Lisa's in chat. Lisa will tell you when that song came on television every week. You were like singing that song.
Yeah,
She'll
that is
tell you.
true.
Once we get to the spoilery part, I'll talk about more about the song.
Yeah.
Um, but now I understand why our favorite character isn't in the movie. There was no space for
Yeah. It wasn't. I finally see that too. Like as I was watching the film, I kept realizing like, okay, I see why he's not here. Even the director of the film actually mentioned it on social media, I think a few days ago, because I guess a lot of people were asking like, hey, like where is Lewis at? Like why is he not in this film? And he said basically, yeah, this because of the story, where the story went, we just didn't have space for the other characters, in this film, which makes sense, but it still sucks. It still sucks to not have Luis in there. It really does.
I I just wish it would have started out with, okay. This is what you missed, and then it goes into, and now he's got this stupid morning routine, and then gone into his daily routine.
Yeah. I honestly would have liked that. Even if they started it off with Luis in the film, like the first 5 minutes, I would have been fine with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Just give me a little bit of Luis, man. You gotta give me some of him in an Ant-Man movie. I can't have it. I can't have an Ant-Man movie without him.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of some other things to talk about without spoiling too
Okay.
much.
So once you go through his daily routine, right, and he starts talking about all the things he's been doing since,
Yeah.
I was actually more surprised how, and again, this is no spoiler because you haven't seen him anywhere. They
Hmm.
talk about how little he's done since Endgame, superhero wise.
Yeah.
So that was something I was a little surprised about. I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He hasn't done anything.
Yeah. We haven't seen him
Yeah,
literally since then.
yeah. Um, and then you get sort of a different perspective of where all the characters are at,
Yeah.
since that, and
Mm-hmm.
some of it was surprising.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Janet Van Dyne's haircut I thought was really gross on her.
Yeah. I didn't like it. I did not like it. It was just a little weird. It was a little weird.
No, it's just I just don't feel like it fit her face. I kind of feel like it just didn't fit her face right. You know,
Yeah.
you get used to it, but um, the way they were brought into the quantum realm, which was shown on the trailer, was interesting, you know, and the way the story develops in what do they call it? Is the quantum realm
Yeah.
was different. It was different than it was partially different than I expected, but exactly what I expected all at the same time.
Okay. I can 100% agree on that.
And as the
100%.
story went along, it just got a little predictable. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of, what the problem was. But the guy who plays Kang the Conqueror, what a performance.
Yeah, man.
So
I
different
agree.
than the end of Loki.
I mean, well, the thing that we're getting with Jonathan Majors is that each time he plays Loki, like he's in an amazing role, because each time he plays not Loki, each time he plays Kang, he gets to be a different personality, because Kang has so many different forms. So this Kang was like just a conqueror who wanted to like destroy the universe, compared to the first Kang that we got, who's a little more laid back and chill and just say, hey, I just want to make sure that everything goes smooth. So some people were saying on social media that they felt like the character of Kang was just too big for this movie, that maybe they should have started Kang off in a different movie. And I agree, because it felt like the whole Kang storyline mixed in with Ant-Man just felt so out of place. It felt weird. It just felt unbalanced. It didn't feel like it made sense. Does that make sense to you? You felt the opposite?
I felt the
Okay.
opposite. It felt more Shakespearean to me.
Okay. Interesting.
Because Kang was at that level of a Shakespearean actor. The way he spoke, his timing, his presence, everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And he was very conceited, and I felt like with Scott and everyone else, they were the complete opposite. So it kind of shows how, no matter how big you are, there is somebody who can take you out, and it is somebody that you least expect. So that's kind of why I did like it.
For that aspect, I agree. For that aspect, but go ahead.
And the thing is, though, I wasn't that fond of the actress who played the daughter.
Me neither. I don't think anybody was. A lot of people have been.
But the thing is, it's not that she did a bad job. It's just a simple fact is, I thought the actress that played the part previously, even though we only saw her for a very short time, she felt like and looked more like she could be his daughter.
Yeah.
And this one, not so much.
I agree. Maybe not. I mean, obviously, not enough time has passed for her to be old enough to, be in a superhero suit. So I'm guessing that's probably why they decided to speed things up to get ready for the Young Avengers. But yeah, based off the casting, yeah, it just didn't. I don't know. There was something about the way she carried the role of Cassie just didn't feel Cassie to me. You know what I mean? It just didn't feel right.
She was not as bitchy as the mother, and also not as funny as the father.
Yeah.
And I kind of think that's where it is, where the previous actress kind of almost leaned into some of the performance of the child.
Yeah.
The first one. And so I just kind of feel that's probably why we meaning a lot of people are looking at it like, okay, we were not that thrilled with her performance.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, I'm not saying she did a bad job. She did a good job. It's just that maybe she'll do better in the next one.
I hope so.
We don't know, but I'm not knocking her performance. It just didn't fit in as well as the previous actress. That's all we're saying.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
I think we just got so used to little Cassie, and like you said, how spunky she was, and like you said, just the way she kept like her screen presence just had a certain aura about it. And then we go from that to older Cassie, and like you said, maybe we just got to get used to it.
What I did like though is they did not turn her into the bitchy rebellious teenager.
I thought they were. Were when it started off first. Like I 100% thought that they were going that route, and I was thinking to myself like, oh, here we go again. This is so typical.
Dark Legion asked, what did we think of the recasting of the part? I didn't like it. I just thought the other actress looked more like Scott and the wife.
Agreed.
So I wasn't that thrilled with her recasting.
Agreed. Let me see what else. What other stuff we want to talk about before we jump into spoilers? You said you already
Special effects. Overall, what did you think of them?
Middle of the pack. It wasn't nothing. Yeah, I mean, there were moments where I was like, okay, because like ever since we started having this conversation about Marvel and their special effects, every time I watch a Marvel show now, I kind of almost look at the special effects even more now because it's become a major topic. And I guess we could talk about this character because they show him in the trailer. MODOK has made an appearance in this film.
MODOK was terrible.
It's a special, and that's one thing. The special effects for MODOK were not great. MODOK in real life or live action, I could imagine would be a hard character to figure out how to make that work in special effect terms. But
I just feel like the face looked like it was stretched.
Yeah,
and that pulled out a level of realism.
It did. It didn't look like a big face. It just looked like a stretch face.
Yes.
That's it. It's just like they just like peeled him. Like it was so weird. Like I remember when they first showed his face, it almost was like jarring. I was like, whoa. Like, oh, I guess that's MODOK. All right.
Yeah, but the actor who they got to play him, I thought was a nice twist.
Wait, so it wasn't the guy from Ant-Man 1, right? Okay. All right.
Territory.
Yeah, not spoiler territory yet.
Non-spoiler territory.
Not yet.
Like I said, the actor who played him, it was a nice twist.
Okay. But yeah, I didn't watch I didn't watch the last trailer of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania purposely because I didn't want to get spoiled. So I didn't even know MODOK was going to be in this film until I actually watched the film.
Oh, I knew for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was
bad KJ.
I know. Shame on me, guys. I'm sorry. So yeah, I didn't know MODOK was going to be in this film until I actually watched it. And I was like, wow, that was a nice surprise. I'm glad that didn't get spoiled for me because I love MODOK. Actually, I really do.
MODOK is very different in the comics. You know, he's the head of AIM. You know,
yeah,
very different character. You know, so this was an interesting twist. And when we get to the spoiler part, we can talk about one thing that I did enjoy about that character. What also I did like, and I'm going to ask your opinion on this, is the final battle.
Okay.
Did you like it? Did you not like it? No, I liked it because it was smaller than expected, but emotionally powerful. Just as emotionally powerful as a big ending.
So am I answering that now or in the...
Yes, because we're still in the non-spoiler, and after this, I kind of think there really isn't much we can really say non-spoilery other than maybe talking about the dialogue in it. But other than that, I really kind of feel like...
Okay. Well, first off, Ramen Edits in chat says, all hell MODOK. He was beautiful. I mean, you know, some people think he was beautiful. Some people think he was stretched, you know. I appreciate you joining the show, by the way, Ramen. The final battle. I thought it, like, if I had to, like, give it a scale of 1 to 5 chocolate bunnies, 5 being the highest, the final battle, I give it a 3, to be honest. I mean, it's He Who Remains. It's Kang the Conqueror. Like, I wasn't expecting Ant-Man to go in there and have like an Iron Man fight, like style fight with Kang, because he's Ant-Man. He's not really that powerful besides growing big and growing small. But talking about it too much is going to lead into spoilers, but I will just say, on a scale of 1 to 5 chocolate bunnies, I would give it a 3. I expected just a little more from it. I think the way it ended was... Yeah, I'll wait for spoilers.
I think the word...
Yeah, that is the best way to probably put it. It felt very predictable, and that's what I didn't like about it.
Yeah.
Honestly. Ramen Edits in chat says it's the smallest fight ever in MCU. Haha, pun intended on that one.
Yeah. I will agree it is the smallest in scale, but I feel like it had the emotional level as every other fight in the MCU.
Agreed.
I will agree that, you know, it was a very one-sided fight. Now, I feel like this is all we can talk about as far as non-spoilers are concerned. Is there
Yes.
anything non-spoilery do you think you can add?
At this point, no. Let's just jump into spoilers because I have a lot to
Okay.
talk about.
So, this is your warning. We are going to start on spoiler territory. We are going to describe the film. We are going to describe actions. We are going to talk about music. We're going to talk about everything in this film that we can spoil.
Okay.
So, from this, I'm giving you 5 seconds to leave. Otherwise, stay here and enjoy the spoilers. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, KJ.
What do you
start
mean
with the
Iron
spoilers.
Man? What do you mean Iron Man showed up in this movie? What do you mean?
Bro, don't mess with people like that. Don't mess with people's emotions,
Oh
bro.
man, could you imagine? Oh man, that'd be crazy.
Regular J Studios said the movie was just disappointing. I agree.
Mm,
I
in fact,
agree
the whole
it was
movie.
disappointing, but at the same time, I think it's because we were more into a heist movie, which is the formula of Ant-Man, and we didn't get a heist movie this time around.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I felt like the formula we got used to a certain formula from Ant-Man from the first two films, and this was different, which I don't mind different for the fact that we got a taste of the quantum realm is okay. I think maybe if the whole film wasn't in the quantum realm and maybe when they came back to the actual world, maybe it would have been a little different. Maybe we would have had different opinions on it. Maybe things would have just happened differently. Um, but maybe it was. Do you think it was too much quantum realm? Honestly, is that even a thing?
Uh, I kind of feel like the entrance into the quantum realm wasn't earned. I kind of wish there was something in between to explain the quantum realm more, or even a story of it before they dropped into the quantum realm,
Yeah,
and then the story took place. Like I
I
just
agree.
feel like there was something missing to make you want to explore the quantum realm. Like we've been there in the MCU, but it didn't look like it did in the previous movies of the MCU.
Well, that's because this version of the quantum realm that they were in, it was like deeper into the quantum realm. Before, it was more like an outer layer, because there were just so many layers of the realm before you got there. So I think that's why it looked a little different. I agree that it did feel a little like I felt like the movie started. Scott's walking down, getting his coffee, getting his donut. The guy's calling him Spider-Man, so on and so forth. And then 5 seconds later, we're in the quantum realm. It's like, wait, hold on. Like, can we slow down a little bit? But I get why they did that because it's like, hey, we only have a certain amount of time of like film to like actually tell our story here. But I felt like if that was the case, maybe the movie should have been a little longer, but then it would have probably overstayed its welcome. So it's like you can't really win
I kind of
here.
think if they would have removed the whole thing about Casey, is it Casey the daughter?
Yeah.
About
No,
Casey going to jail?
Cassie.
Cassie.
Yeah.
If they removed Cassie going to jail and they made it more about her following her mother's footsteps about science, quantum realm, and this, that, and the other thing, and her obsession with it,
Yeah.
I kind of feel it would have been more. It would have been earned. You've been like, okay, she's hooked on it. She knows this. She knows that.
Yeah.
Now we're here.
Yeah.
As opposed to her going, she was, in a protest and she got arrested, which I just thought was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a little yeah, I didn't really like that. I feel like they were trying to force her to be like her dad without, like you said, really earning it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh well, dad, I got arrested like you. I was just like, this whole conversation at the dinner table was just really cringy. Can we just like move on, please? Yeah. It was going on way too long. Way too long.
Although I did like the pizza thing.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. That was actually kind of cool.
To save so much money on
I know, right? I can get me a little small mini meat pizza and like spend like $5 on it and then feed a family.
Exactly.
All right. So, what was the next topic you want to jump into? I'm sorry. I know we have a lot of stuff to talk about spoiler wise in here.
Their descent into the quantum realm did match all other times you've seen it, for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of feel like when they landed in the quantum realm and you saw the creatures, some of the creatures just looked odd to be odd. Like
yeah.
that one guy who was a lamp, when you had a lamp as a head.
I was really confused by that, especially the guy who looked like a piece of broccoli, like literally broccoli.
A piece of broccoli, yeah.
And I was just like, why?
What I
Why?
what I did like is when they were like drink the goo and it helps you understand everybody.
Yeah.
There's a show called Farscape
Hmm.
where they had translation microbes that you would inject into yourself,
Hmm.
and then you were able to understand anybody else who has translation microbes in them. So
Ah,
I thought
okay.
that was kind of cool. So kind of like the quantum realm doesn't speak English. You know, they
Yeah.
they all have their own language. You drink this juice, all of a sudden you can understand everybody. I thought that was cool.
I thought that was interesting, honestly, when he met everybody and he had to drink the goo to understand. I thought that was a pretty cool aspect about the film. It was nice to see Bill Murray, even though it was for like a short cameo, basically.
I
It
didn't care
was
for his role. Anybody could have played that part.
anybody could have played it. Yeah, I thought I like when I saw him in the trailer, I thought he was playing more of a serious role, like just more of a bigger role, and he was literally in the movie for like 5 minutes, and I
Yeah,
was just like, okay, you show me Bill Murray, I'm expecting to see Bill Murray. You know,
you
it
could
was
put anybody there.
yeah, you could have
Literally
literally
anybody.
you could have put me in that role. Like, come on, like stop spending money on all these big actors. Call JHouze Studios
Honestly,
phone number and get me in there, Marvel. Like, what's going on?
100% no joke. I think he would have done a better job.
Thank you, appreciate it.
No, seriously. I've seen you act. Okay. Yes, I do think you would have done a better job.
Much appreciated, man. I love you too, bro. Um, but yeah, there was just, I mean, the quantum realm thing. It just some of the creatures, the characters, the buildings that were alive. I mean, I get that things are weird in certain films and certain movies and in certain universes, but like you said, I would have to agree. I didn't even think about it like that. A lot of this stuff felt weird just to be weird for no reason, and it just felt cringy. Like I have to. I know that I feel like I say that 1,000 times in describing this movie, but a lot of it just felt like it didn't make sense. It was just there just to be there, and I'm like, what are you guys doing?
A lot of it felt like a 70s Saturday morning cartoon.
Maybe that's what they were going for.
Might be.
Maybe that's what they were going for. I don't know.
That's kind of
Um,
what I feel like it was.
yeah,
It wasn't. I mean, yes, it was an interesting world and all that other stuff, but I kind of felt like they pushed too many different looking creatures.
yeah. I think the broccoli head was like over the edge for me. I'm like, all right, I'm done. Like
I, I
I'm
liked
done
it
with
because
this.
it was a joke, but then they showed him too much.
Yeah, I was like, Broccoli Man again. Broccoli
Yeah,
Man saves the day. I'm like, all right, we get it. Broccoli Man is here. We get it.
yeah, exactly.
I did like just to kind of rewind backwards a little bit. I did like how Jimmy Woo, in the beginning when he had lunch with Scott Lang. It's funny how like in Ant-Man 2, when they came to raid his house in the beginning of the movie, and they were going back and forth, and Jimmy Woo was like, "Hey, yo, so like, do you want to go out for like lunch or something? Or you're asking me out?" He's like, "No, I'm not." It's like, "Oh, okay, but do you really want to go out for lunch?" So
Yeah,
at the beginning of this movie, they're going out for lunch, and Jimmy Woo pops out his credit card in like a little magic trick form, because in part two he wanted Scott to teach him magic. He was so fascinated with with magic. So in this film, he actually learned magic by popping his card out of his sleeve. I thought that was a nice nod to part two.
yeah. That was nice.
Random, I know, but
No, but it's little things like that in the MCU that us as fans enjoy. We enjoy the continuity, and even something as simple as that is
yeah.
a nice callback, where you feel like these characters weren't pushed to the side. Like a good example is WandaVision.
Hmm.
Like that felt like it was in its own universe. Even though we're gonna turn around and see some of those characters in the Marvels,
Hmm.
it kind of feels like we've ignored them for such a long time that we've forgotten who they were.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
it's things the callbacks I do enjoy.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, man. Just this movie wasn't. It was entertaining, but I kind of feel like if I had the choice, I'd rather watch it at home streaming than pay money for it in the theater.
Agreed. And mind you, I went to go see it in Dolby, so I paid like probably too way too much money for the movie that I should have paid for it. But yeah, I mean, there was definitely a lot of things I liked about it. I just like I mentioned before, I liked a lot of the Kang stuff in this film. I like the chemistry, relationship, interaction between Kang and Michelle Pfeiffer's character, Janet Van Dyne. When they first went into the quantum realm, and Janet is just like afraid of like him, the guy, the man, that they don't mention his name until like 40 minutes in. I like the fact that we build up to seeing Kang, and I like the fact that we actually got to go back and see Janet's interaction with Kang when he crash landed there, and see how things went. And just throughout the film, we just see the relationship between them just build over time, and we get a deeper look into that. I love the interaction between Janet and Kang more than I like the interaction between Ant-Man and Kang, and that says a lot.
What I did like was how Janet and Hank weren't jealous of the fact that, even though they were married, they were gone for 30 years and they've had other relationships.
Oh yeah.
Jealous about it. Which I was like, damn, that's mature. I would have been a bitch. I'd been like, what?
Come on, it's been 30 years. Somebody. It's been 30 years, man. Come on. Like, at that point, you probably think that the person's dead. Like, they've been stuck in the quantum realm.
But logically, it makes sense. Emotionally, it wouldn't.
Yeah, emotionally, it wouldn't. They were like, man, you better wait for me.
You'd be like, what? Knuckle up?
Yeah, exactly. Real question, though. Do you think they let Ant-Man beat Kang? Like, dude, do you really think that was realistic, that Ant-Man could actually beat Kang?
He did not beat Kang. He didn't. He never beat him. He kept him busy. He got his ass whooped. He kept him busy. And Janet whooped his ass.
Well, the ants, I guess you can say.
No. We're talking about the final fight. Janet whooped his ass. She was the one shooting him. And then
yeah, you're right. You're right. I completely forgot about that part.
Okay, so what did you think about the end?
The end, I mean, the ants. I don't know. I didn't really care for them, honestly. I didn't like the whole thing of like, oh, the ants got stuck into the quantum realm and they evolved and they built a community and now they're this. I was just like, ugh. I didn't like it.
Like the ants were out of place.
Yes, that's what it felt like. I mean, we're here tonight. We're like clicking on all cylinders. That's honestly, that is the best way to describe it. It just felt like we were doing this one thing over here. We're having this party, we're doing this thing, and then all of a sudden we have like, this person who's playing like third or fourth wheel, and he's like, hey, can I come too? And it's like, dude, we're almost over. The party's almost over. Like, what are you doing here? And that's kind of what it felt like when the ants came in, because it was just like, I was just like, I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that he tried to make up this whole story about how the ants were down there and they just evolved into this whole new form of ant, and now they're communicating with his mind. And I'm just like, that just felt so, or through his earpiece. I was just like, that just felt just so, no, I didn't want that.
But oddly enough, when they were falling into the quantum realm, I saw the ants and I was like, okay, they have to show up somewhere.
Yeah, I didn't catch it the first time until we talked about it.
I did.
So
I definitely caught it, and I was like, all right. So, but I thought they played a more important role throughout.
Yeah, I think if they were like in the film a little bit more than just like, hey, last minute they're gonna save the day, maybe I would have been like, all right, the ants are here. They're always here. Why not?
My thing is the ants developing technology, really?
That and I know that's what I was just like. This just makes no sense to me. Like, I mean, I get it. They're smart. They're not your typical ants, but come on, man.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
I will say the color palette very much reminded me of Guardians of the Galaxy, though.
It did. I felt like the film in general gave me Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, especially for the fact that we have so many weird characters. That's usually what we usually see in Guardians. Guardians has a lot of weird cultures and species and things like that. So I expect that from that universe. I wasn't expecting that from Ant-Man, because it felt like I was watching a mashup between Guardians and Ant-Man in this film, honestly.
Now, back to MODOK, because now we can do the whole spoiler thing.
Okay.
What I liked was that the villain from the first film wound up becoming MODOK.
Yes, I did like that.
It was a nice callback. It was a nice way to say, okay, we haven't forgotten about Yellow Jacket. That's
Mm-hmm.
the name of the character he was in the first movie. I just thought he didn't land as well as he should. And even at the end, where he becomes a hero, he's like, I am not a dick. And he starts shooting, Kang. And the way he dies, he goes, at least I died in Avengers. Everyone's looking at him like, yeah, man,
Yeah,
just die in
sure.
Avengers.
Just die already.
And because he looks so terrible, I'm kind of glad he died in this movie, and they hopefully will not be using him again.
Yeah, I don't think they will. It sucks that that's the kind of Kang that we got, because it, like, whenever we got a Kang, I was hoping that it was going to be something memorable. The special effects were very bad. Like you said, his face looked stretched. I don't know how.
You mean?
Yeah, from Modoc, my bad. I don't know how else they would have pulled that off. I mean, I'm not a visual effects artist, so I don't know, but it was horrible. They did, one of the special effects artists on the film did post on social media. They posted on social media a few days ago saying that Marvel pulled a lot of resources from this film to put those resources into Wakanda Forever, which is why they felt like this film lacked a lot in the visual effects department. How do you feel about that? What's your thoughts on that?
Um, I don't know. I mean, I thought Wakanda Forever looked good, but it didn't look like they pulled people from another movie
Yeah, it didn't.
to Wakanda Forever, And we have very different opinions about Wakanda Forever,
Yeah,
I say Namor was right. You believe the Wakanda was correct. Whole of the
yeah,
story. But yeah, I kind of feel like Modak would have been better served with the mask on most of the time.
yeah. Agreed. Like, he actually looked pretty cool with the mask on, so I was kind of hoping that they would have just left that the way it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm honestly, I'm a little worried about the visual effects department of Marvel going forward. I just lately, I think the last good looking film we got from Marvel was Spider-Man.
Um,
The last good looking film that we
I
got.
don't know. Wakanda looked good.
The Wakanda, they look good. I'm not saying it look bad, but I do hate the fact that every time they fight, they use, like, they don't use practical effects when they're fighting. Everything is like all VFX, and it's just like, why can't we just have a natural fight? Why does everything have to look like it's fake? They
in Ant-Man.
No. I'm talking about in Wakanda, like, as far as like
Because
what they had.
the scale is too large. The scale is too large. The scale is way too large. You are not gonna find 1,000, black stuntmen to perform this, to perform it safely. You can get martial artists. They're guaranteed there's 10,000 martial artists out there.
Mhm.
But a martial artist is not pulling a punch that same way. A martial artist isn't going to do it as safely as a stunt person would. So I can understand why they would do a lot of it digitally, because there's just not enough trained people to do that. Because your option is then, okay, what? Are you going to take 50 and put them in blackface to be in Wakanda Forever? How wrong is that?
And I totally understand that, but I'm just saying, like, with the one-on-one fights, like, if it's just like the actual Black Panther going up against another bad guy, like in the past two Black Panther films, it looks like a special effects scene. It doesn't look like a practical scene when, like, Black Panther is fighting Killmonger or something. Like that final scene, for example, in the first one,
the special effects was terrible.
it was horrible. It was horrible, and like they kind of did that at the end of part 2, where like Black Panther's fighting somebody on the side of the boat, and she looks like a cartoon character flipping on it. I was just like, oh, this does not look good, man. If that's the case, just don't do that scene.
The problem is Endgame. You had such huge stakes, and everything looks so good.
Yeah,
that is your standard.
Yeah, it is.
Forward, you're less forgiving of something that you would have said, oh, okay, I mean, it was a little shaky, but whatever. That you would have said that before Endgame.
Yeah.
Now, since the bar is set so high, you're kind of like, well, get closer.
That probably, you know what? You're probably right. If Thanos came out in a movie today, Thanos would not look the way he looked in Endgame.
Yeah.
Thanos looked almost realistic, like perfect. Like he looked amazing in Endgame. And look at where he came from when we first saw him in like what Iron Man 1. Throughout all those films, he had those. He didn't look that great. He looked a little weird in the face. And then when we got him in Endgame, perfect. They finally figured it out. He looked amazing. But yeah, I feel like the first era, like the first what 2 or 3 phases of Marvel, they had their weak points, but for the most part, they look pretty freaking solid. And
But here's
just
the thing: if you go back and watch Iron Man, you're gonna be like, "Oh, these effects aren't as good as I remember them."
oh yeah, of course. I mean, like the first few films, I agree, because yeah, like that was the beginning.
Yeah,
You know what I
but when
mean?
they came out, you were amazed by them. And once again, I kind of think that's an Endgame effect
Probably.
because Endgame was so good. You know, everything else pales in comparison. That's my personal belief.
No, I 100% agree, because that's how I looked at it. I was like, man, they gave me this, and now they got me over here. And I'm like, hey, what happened to this? I'm not saying everything has to look like Endgame. I know that's very expensive,
Yeah.
you know, but I don't know. I guess I can't ask for too much, man. But yeah, I just don't like the way. I forgot the original topic that we were even talking about, to be honest now. But yeah,
We were talking about how MODOK did not look good.
oh yeah, I was just saying, like, I'm a little worried about the future of the visual effects team. We keep getting these stories coming out of the visual effects team saying we're not getting the resources, this is happening, that's happening, you know, there's not enough people. And I'm a little worried about the future of the visual effects team. I mean, like, Marvel movies rely on that, you know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, I think what they need to do is get rid of a project. Like,
Maybe,
get rid of one of
yeah,
the movies, or tone down the special effects in 2 or 3 of the movies to sort of allow the quality of the other shots to be better.
yeah,
A good example is Blade. If you do Blade more like the first one was done, where it was more, the effects were more about the disintegration of the vampires.
yeah,
The action was people fighting.
exactly.
I kind of feel like it'll be better.
I
And by
agree.
the way, have you heard any news on the new Blade movie? Because
No, I haven't, and it's supposed to come out next year. I
yeah,
haven't heard anything on Blade.
are you a little worried about that? Because I am.
I am a little worried. I did hear that. I think I heard about a month or two ago that Mahershala Ali, the actor who's playing Blade, did say something about how the shoot or the filming is taking a little long to like actually start. But that was like a month or two ago. I did hear recently that they are starting to film in spring, I believe, of this year. So they hopefully should be in time for their 2024 release.
All right, last question about Blade, and then we're going to go right back to Ant-Man.
Okay.
Who do you want to play Whistler?
Oh, that is a tough one.
I
Whistler.
only have one answer.
Who?
Wesley Snipes.
The irony in that. The irony in that. That you know what? I can see that.
Wesley Snipes isn't young anymore. He's an old man.
Yeah.
Why not just give him dreadlock and just have him be Whistler?
You know what that is? That is a certain film trope where people take the old character that used to be the main character in the film years ago and make them like the wise man. Like a lot of films do that. So I think that would be nice if Marvel did that. I'm sure Wesley could use the money. I'm really sure he can.
Probably with all his tax problems.
Exactly. So I'm sure he can probably use the money, but that would be nice. That would be nice. I'm looking forward to seeing that.
All right, back to Ant-Man and the quantum disaster that it was. What do you think it would have taken for that movie to have been improved?
People are probably gonna like hate me for saying this because the movie's called Quantumania. If we didn't spend so much time in the quantum realm, it got to a point where I was a little quantum fatigued after a while. Yeah, I was just like, because I didn't feel like there was anything that was really interesting happening besides me seeing some weird looking broccoli characters in buildings that can walk. I felt like,
I personally think it would have been better if they had more people in prosthetic makeup as opposed to so many CGI characters. I think if you would have had more, because if you looked in the film, when they had people with prosthetic makeup on, they were interesting design.
Yeah, they
But
were.
they were blink and you miss it design. I
Yeah.
kind of feel like if they would have done that, I think it would have been better. I think it wouldn't have been such an overly rainbow bright My Little Pony color palette, overload. And I
Yeah.
kind of think that is what really got you visually overloaded. That it made you not care. Because the
Yeah.
story in itself is a decent story, about this family of superheroes who are doing things. And even
Yeah.
Hank Pym, who was like the old man, had his importance in the thing, even though he didn't do much, but he did do something.
Yeah.
I just kind of feel like if they would have just toned down some of the CGI, kind of feel like it would have been a better film, a more
I-
relatable film. Because the
I
only
agree.
characters you really cared about from the quantum realm was the telepath dude with the purple glowing forehead,
Yeah.
who I feel like they sold that effect straight out of Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And the warrior chick.
Oh, yeah. She was cool. Like,
Yeah.
I would have liked to see more from her.
I kind of think if they would have just had other characters that were just in prosthetics, I feel like it would have been less of a CGI overload in our brains, and we would have, enjoyed it more.
One of my least favorite characters, speaking of CGI, is the little blubber guy. I have holes now. I have holes. That was so cringy, man.
I didn't mind him, but I think I would have enjoyed him more if he wasn't hanging out with Lamphead.
Yeah.
I think I would have enjoyed him more if he wasn't next to other characters that I just kind of felt like were there just to say, oh, look, we have a weird character. Again, more people in prosthetics.
Yeah, exactly. I think he was cool when we first had to like drink him, basically. That was cool. That was funny. It was all right. But then over time, we just kept getting him. We're like, man, can we just like leave the blubber guy home or something, please? Like, I don't want to see this guy anymore.
The funniest part was like, how many holes do you have? Or is that too personal? And the other guy goes, 7. And you see Scott going,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I think about it.
Yeah. That's what it was. I love that. I freaking love that, man. So good. All right. So quick question. Let's jump into the end credit scenes. The first one.
Before we do that, musically, what did you think of the score?
I thought the score was good. It reminded me once again. I feel like we got people who worked on Guardians of the Galaxy in this film, but it gave me Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, and it also gave me Loki vibes, like the TV show Loki.
Yeah.
How it had that weird atmospheric music. It definitely gave me the vibes of those two shows or franchises.
My whole thing about the score was.
What? Wait, say it again. You went out.
Tune stuck in my head.
Say it again. Your voice went out.
I said I feel like the music was forgettable because there's not one tune that's stuck in my head.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it fit the scene.
Yeah.
But I don't remember it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. It did fit the scene. I mean, it was just it reminded me of the other shows and the other movies, but yeah, it was like okay. But it's Ant-Man. A lot of the music in Ant-Man films don't really catch me. You know what I mean? So wasn't really expecting that. In credit scenes, the first one we got a look at all of the versions of Kang, basically.
The Egyptian one looked.
The Egyptian one was cool. I did like that.
The Sumerian one, I was like, it's definitely Sumerian, but
He was a little weird.
which one was that one?
The one that was like all black, right? I
No,
think.
the one with the gold medallion and the big, the one who's the main focus in that first cutscene.
I thought that was the one. I gotta look at it again if I can find the clip somewhere. Yeah, I don't know. I thought the Egyptian one was pretty cool. Only because I'm like, I wonder what kind of story we're gonna get from that guy. I felt like the end credit scenes were, especially the first one, it was just to give us an idea of like, hey, there's more Kangs, but we already knew that.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it.
And what was the second one again?
The second credit scene was Loki and I
No, that
forgot
was the
the.
third one. There was another one.
There was
There was
another one.
three. There was three.
Did I not catch one? What was the second one?
It was three. I forgot what the second one was. That's the reason why I'm saying that.
Anybody in chat, let me know what the end credit scenes were if you seen it. I'm pretty sure you've probably seen it if you're still here. Let me know what the 3 end credit scenes were, because I think we're missing one.
Yeah, my favorite one was the Loki one, the one that you're going to talk about, the third one.
Yeah, I like the Loki one because I love the show Loki. I think out of all the Marvel shows, Loki is probably my favorite Marvel show so far. Honestly, yeah, I mean, next to all right, here's my Marvel shows in order: Loki, Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier.
He's my Captain America. Darn it.
No, he is.
Yeah, I know, but Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Show. We're not talking about what's in our hearts.
I'm always talking about what's in my heart. Loki, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and WandaVision. Those are my top 3 favorite shows.
Really?
Yeah.
WandaVision is my least favorite out of all of them. For me, it's Falcon and Winter Soldier. Absolutely. Number 1. I think that told such a good story, and a story you normally don't hear in the mainstream. Loki, number 2. Yeah. And,
okay.
Miss Marvel, number 3.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Miss Marvel.
I love Miss Marvel.
That might be tied for number 3 for me, because Miss Marvel was actually really good. Miss Marvel was amazing.
Groot mini movies, way before WandaVision. WandaVision is my least favorite. I thought it was a complete waste of time.
I freaking love WandaVision. I loved it.
I mean, it led into Doctor Strange Mom, but
Doctor Strange Mom. Yeah, I feel like the end credit scenes for me didn't really mean much of anything. I felt like they were there just to be there. I mean, the Loki one was pretty much just to kind of set us up for Loki, which is fine. But the end credit scene was like 5 seconds. What was the point of that? It wasn't like it was like 5 seconds of like a shot of Iron Man's mask, which means, holy crap, Iron Man's coming back. It wasn't like it was one of those. It was like Loki's sitting in a theater. They're watching Kang up on stage. They're like, look, that's the guy. And then that was it. It's like, what was the point? If you weren't going to really give me much of anything, why give me anything? Just don't give me an end credit scene.
But that's all you need. The love that people have for the Loki TV series, that little bit of him is all you need. That's the same as flashing the Iron Man mask.
I mean, I get it.
Level.
I get it, but I felt like for me, we already knew that Kang was coming back for Loki. Like, especially if you watch, obviously, the end of Loki, you already knew he was coming back. I felt like that scene was just to say, hey, just so you know, Kang is coming in the next Loki show. But it's like, we already knew that. Like, look at how Loki ended. Like, we knew that Kang was going to come back. So that's why I felt like for me.
Last time we talked about the Loki TV series.
It's been a while, and I get it. They're trying to promote it and like remind people.
This. We are the podcast of popular culture, and even we don't talk about Loki, and we both loved Loki.
Yeah, that is true.
They need something to tease you,
Yeah.
That's no different than like you're on a date and a girl sends you a picture of, what she's wearing tonight. Oh, I'll be wearing this tonight, and you're like, ooh, she wearing that sexy red dress. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Just that little tease that makes you excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, I get that part, but I mean, I don't know. I was just expecting a little more.
I believe by the time that end credit scene came up, you just didn't care because the movie was so mediocre.
Maybe that's what it was.
That mediocre feeling bled into that end scene.
Maybe that's why it was.
In Black Panther, you'd have been like, "Oh, Loki coming back."
My God, Loki coming back. Yeah, you're right. Probably.
That's kind of feel like the bad feeling of one bled into the other.
Yeah, I agree.
So overall, because I kind of think we kind of beat this dead horse 100 times. Overall, 1 to 5 chocolate bunnies. What do you give? Was it Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania,
Yeah.
or Quantum Disaster? Which
Quantum disaster.
1 to 5 chocolate bunnies. What do you give it?
1 to 5 chocolate bunnies, I will give it a 2.5. No, you know what? I'll give it a 3. And I'm only giving it a 3 because of Jonathan Majors. Carried the film. He carried the film on his back. If Jonathan Majors, if Kang was not in this movie and we had some mediocre, like the bad guy that we had in Ant-Man Part 2, this film would have been like 0 chocolate bunnies for me. But because of Jonathan Majors, I'm giving this a 3.
I'm giving it a slightly higher, 3.5. Because
Okay.
I feel like it's one of those movies you'll enjoy watching on streaming, but it's not something you'll enjoy watching in the theaters.
It's not a movie theater film. It's not. It's something that should have, honestly, they should have just put this straight on Disney Plus. To be honest, I feel like it's a Disney Plus movie. It's not, hey, go spend 20 something bucks per ticket, spend $50 on popcorn and $20 on your favorite Butterfinger, you know, and go watch this movie. No, it's not worth it. It's really not. Like, if you are listening to this or watching this podcast and you have not seen it yet and you just spoiled yourself just because you wanted to hear our sexy voices, just wait for it to come to Disney Plus at this point. Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
you know, and this is coming from somebody who loved the first 2 Ant-Man movies. Loved them. I didn't like this one. Didn't like it. Sorry, not sorry. All right, so real quick, the other I think what are we getting for the rest of the year? We're getting the Marvels coming this summer. We're getting Guardian. Yeah, I'm middle of the road. I'm middle of the road about that.
I'm excited about it because it's more about 3 generations of superheroes. You know, I'm more excited because I kind of feel like this is the first real girl power movie of the Marvel Universe, and I'm curious to see how they're going to approach it and if it's going to bomb terribly or is it going to do really well. I think it's I think it's going to be better than mediocre. But I don't think it'll be a great movie, but I think it'll be incredibly enjoyable.
Okay. I'm surprised it's actually a film. I thought it was going to be a TV show, but it's an actual film.
It's going to be a TV show.
Oh, okay.
In the early planning stages, it's going to be a TV show. Then they decided to be better served as a movie.
Okay. What else we're getting? We're getting Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Can't wait. We are completely opposite with this one because, like, you are super excited about Marvels. I'm super excited about Guardians. So, I think what else we're getting? We're getting Loki, and then we're also getting Invasion, which is going to be featuring Nick Fury.
So Invasion.
Yeah. So 2 more movies, 2 more TV shows, and that's it for Marvel for the rest of the year.
Really, that's it?
That's it. Based off that slate, do you feel like this is probably one of the weakest years in Marvel? Based off of that slate.
Yeah, but then again, it's also bound to happen.
Of course.
Because if you don't create a lull in it, then you're not going to have people want more.
Yeah.
Think about it. If you go to a restaurant and they give you a ton of food and it's always in your face, it's come a point you're like, I've had enough. No matter how much more delicious food is coming, you know, after that. But if they serve you some, they give you a break, you'll be like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. Then you get the next bunch.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a lot of it, and you're like, oh, this is great. You know, then a small lull, and then you're ready for dessert. Kind of feel it's the same type of pacing.
Maybe that's why they're doing this lull, because just like you said, maybe they need to have this to pace themselves for these upcoming amazing films that they're going to need their top-notch visual effects artists for.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what that's for. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it. That is our review of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Los, do you have anything you want to leave the beautiful people with before we get out of here tonight?
Stream it. Don't go out to the theaters to watch it. Don't forget that a lot. Oh, by the way, isn't What If and Echo, aren't they also coming out this year?
I don't know. Echo. I think no. Echo is next year.
Okay.
What If? I'm not sure when What If is actually.
just don't forget we're doing The Last of Us review next week. We're reviewing 2 episodes at the same time. Don't forget that if you like to support us on Patreon, we would appreciate that because
For sure.
a lot of work goes into this, more than you can imagine or realize, and it takes a lot of time for us to watch these projects, make a time for it, schedule babysitters, schedule dog sitters, trying to talk our Puerto Rican girlfriends into go, hey, baby, come on, this is for the podcast. I know you want to do that, but you got to let me do this. Stuff going on behind the scenes you guys don't know about. Yeah, and don't forget, we have merch.
Yes.
Explain the merch to our fine friends.
Yes, guys, definitely check out in the description below in the video version and the audio version of the podcast is a link to our merch website. You guys can check out some JHouze Radio t-shirts, hoodies. We're going to be coming out with some new stuff for the spring pretty soon. That also supports the podcast as well. You guys can walk around and show everybody how you're supporting the podcast of pop culture. So that way you can tell them to check out the podcast of pop culture if they're into pop culture. And I said pop culture too many times. So, ladies and gentlemen,
don't forget, if you want a sexy shirt, one of our shirts just fits that bill. Can you think of something even sexier for your partner to be wearing other than that shirt, especially when they're looking at you and giving you all the googly eyes? And
exactly.
Look at this shirt. Look at me.
Exactly.
I'm just saying.
Low saying line. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate everybody who's watching us live. Thanks to the new chatters who came in here tonight. Appreciate you guys. Don't forget, hit the like button, hit the subscribe so you guys can catch us live and posting any other videos as well. And side note, Street Fighter 6 is coming out pretty soon. Los and I are going to be streaming that very soon. So if you guys want to see us stream that live and watch me destroy Los, make sure you guys.
Mortal Kombat, I lose.
Oh man, it's going to be entertaining for sure.
Yes, it will.
It's going to be entertaining. All right, guys, peace and chicken grease. Thank you for hanging out. We love you.